Hey everybody, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video, and we're talking about Sun in the 10th house. So this is birth Sun in the 10th house. So the Sun, this is mainly our ego and our vitality, our energy, our sense of accomplishment, our expression. A lot about our expression it's a big slice of our personality. What we show to the world. And very much about how we want to show up, and whatever house the sun comes into is really where we want to shine, where we light up that house. It's a big part of the birth chart. So it's a real conscious part of the birth chart, the sun. And a lot represents father and authority, power. And so the 10th house is a house of accomplishment, a house of uh, a public house, a house of being seen. In the birth chart, it represents the reputation that precedes us, what we become, what we're known as, can describe the career. And it's the highest point in the birth chart. It's really, when the sun is at its brightest in the birth chart, the 10th house. So when we have somebody's, ego and energy and, sense of self, large sense of their self coming into the 10th house of becoming, we tend to see somebody who is very much about accomplishment, very much about attainment, attaining a position of power, becoming an authority. And they're very driven, these people. They tend to be, from a young age, they tend to be very focused on what it is they're going to be, what it is they're going to attain, what it is they're going to have. They're very much, the ego and accomplishment, the ego and attainment are very much tied together when we have the sun here. So they tend to be more conservative in in behavior and in attitude. And you have to really look at the sign that the sun is in, as well. If you have like a Capricorn sun or an Aquarius sun, and that's going to be very much so. They're more detached, and there's a huge spider web. I just noticed. I have to be careful. I'm trying to stay out of the sun because it's really, really hot, and so I'm stuck between the sun and a giant spider web. So I'm just gonna stay right here in the middle. So the the ego, the sign has a lot to do with how they express themselves. And oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to come out, or I'm gonna move over here. How about that? That's good. That's better. But it's still really hot. It's almost 100 degrees, so it's a toasty summer. So you have to look at the sign, to see, more obviously. The sign always pays attention, has a lot to do with, how whatever sign in whatever house, whatever planet in whatever house expresses itself. But, particularly with sun in the 10th house, it's going to give you a really big clue as to, how they come off. So they are, good at saving, because they're all about earning. And they know where every penny generally is going. They're good at management in general, money management, especially people management, resources management. These are the people to go to if you want somebody to be fired. I mean, they're good at it, and they're generally they have a talent for working with people in social situations, when there's, when there's any kind of power involved. They know how to put things to people. They are very balanced in the way that they handle people in a work or professional situation. Now, they can be known as bossy, and but at the same time, they at least try. Their goal is to be very fair. They are almost, they try to be very balanced in their approach to how they put themselves out there in the world. So they don't want to, go to extremes in either direction. It's important for them to maintain an even keel when it comes to their, how they present themselves, how they are. So they try to maintain that detachment, that balance. And that's excellent when it comes to bosses and such, because they make great bosses. Because they are very much about achievement and power, but it doesn't tend to be, like a first house sun, where it's about, power grab or power keep. It's more like the earning of power. They're very much about earning in general. 10th house sun is very concerned with issues of deserving. They want to deserve what they've achieved. So they tend to be very hard workers. They don't mind starting from the bottom. They understand that to get what they want, it's going to take a certain amount of grit and time. They are willing to put in the money, the time, the resources into their trainings that most people would never dream of. They have to have a feeling that they are well prepared to go out and to deal with others. They typically value education, whatever that is. That doesn't mean that they're going to be out there getting millions of PhDs. Their definition of education, you have to look at that. But they generally go as high as they can until, they feel finished. They feel able. They feel like they are in a position of authority to then share that with others. They are very much about doing the legwork, the hard work that it takes to earn the wisdom that they can then pass on to others, in a position of authority. So, how they value themselves, very much tied to how hard they work and their moral code. They are very much about following the rules and making sure that other people follow the rules as well. And, unless, and other planets in aspect, to a 10th house sun are, going to mitigate this. Of course, Neptune is going to really soften a 10th house sun and even make it a little bit, glamorous or feminize a little bit. Uranus, in aspect to a 10th house sun, is going to make these people even, even more detached and cool, very Aquarian. These people could be quite brilliant and really amazing when it comes to, esoteric subjects or things when having to do with science. I mean, these can be really amazing right and left brain thinkers. Their ideas can be, quite brilliant. So, known for their hard work, developing a work ethic early in life. This is something that comes from the father, generally. Because, 10th house generally will represent the father, but you have to keep in mind that, sometimes we see the mother there. So, a parents had a big effect in how they, developed their ethic when it comes to other people. So you really have to look at the state of the sun when it comes to that. So, they're kind of out to prove their worth through work. People with the sun in the 10th. And that can, generally comes from the teachings of the father. So, you have to look at the sign that the sun is in. If the sign is in a a sign of detriment, Libra, Cancer, you could see a manipulative, passive-aggressive father, and somebody with Sun in their 10th house had to get around that and establish a work ethic, kind of in spite of that. If somebody, has their your Sun in Capricorn, and it's, or even Aquarius, and it's, in the 10th house, then, it could have been a really hard driving father, really hard working father, really bossy, coldy father. So, you really have to look how, the Sun is aspected and what sign it's in, with Sun in the 10th house to, really see, what's going on there. Females with their Sun in the 10th house tend to not be very domestic. Not so much as other women. They have it in their mind really early on in life that they want to achieve something. They want to show up in the world in some manner. These are not women who are destined to rinse out a man's teacup. They will go crazy if they don't have their own thing, if they don't have a sense that they are building their own life. Most of these women are career women. Now, you have to consider the sign, of course, because maybe you have, a huge stellium of planets, in Cancer in the 10th house. And, this is a female who approaches her family life as a job. These women will, come down the stairs dressed at 6 a.m., ready to run that house like a ship. And they're talented at it, they're good at it. So you have to consider the sign, as well, and, all the things that are going on in the birth chart. But generally, these women build, if they do family life, they build their family life around their work life. Work is just really important to them because it's a source of independence. It's a source of identity. And their identity, is very, very much attached, to career and to reputation and attainment and all those things. So, females with their Sun in the 10th house, they need to be free to live their own lives, or they will go nutso, and they'll kick you to the curb anyway. They're not going to let you tell them what to do anyway. These are not women who are going to be bossed around. They do the bossing, and the men generally do the cooking and the cleaning. So this is my analysis of somebody with their birth Sun in the 10th house. Hope you enjoyed this. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, please. It helps. And I will be back with more super cool videos. I'm going to wrap up my Sun series and go on to composites and what is going on with all of that, and talk about that for a while. And you can find me on the internet at Truth in Aspect Astrology, and you can email me for consultation, and you can find me on Facebook at Truth in Aspect Astrology as well. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.